win is in the books.
It's not a victory Monday.
It's not a victory Monday. Are the Philadelphia Eagles frauds? Can we call them shitty? Is that what you said earlier? What a crazy start to the day on this Monday morning, December 11th. Hope you all had a great, fantastic weekend filled with family, friends, and of course that good drug of alcohol, like I did. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the All Day Everyday Show with All Day AJ, Manny Ruffin. Huge weekend was had. Week 14 has concluded. We have plenty of games to get into and things to talk about in the sports world with our Monday guy, kiiLKenny. What is up, Kenny? I'm loving the jersey, and that's exactly where we're going to start today. What's up, King?
Yeah, any excuse to not start with the Eagles. So I figured this would be a good distraction to just get us derailed bright and early. But what's going on, fellas? How was your weekend? It sounds like alcohol infused.
Yeah.
You've got your potential victory lap tomorrow. I know you get your Giants going tonight, but man, let's just anything we can delay to talk about the birds.
Victory lap. Sure. We will start there 100%. Shohei Ohtani signing with the Dodgers, the biggest North American sports contract in history. 10 years, $700 million. Funny things where we're talking now, if you mention the team that he's talking to, if you mention the name of the team, or that you are having contract negotiations with him, he doesn't want to go there. All of Twitter is talking about Toronto. It's the Blue Jays. It's definitely not the Yankees. I mean, this is
MLB media fumbled this.
If we
like
anything,
they always do, man. I feel like nobody had a grasp on the story from the jump. Toronto would have bummed me out, and I think it just would have been like, look, as a fan of the Phillies, and I guess just more of the National League picture, like, yeah, I selfishly would prefer him on the Dodgers because he was never going to come to Philly. All right, so if he's not coming to Philly, then at least put him in the league that's a little more, in my storyline. We could potentially see, Phillies versus Dodgers, at a playoff game with the bank. Like, that's now a possibility, and it's better for me as a Phillies fan for, him being the National League. So selfishly, I think it's awesome. The one thing that I will say is, Phillies fans, we experienced last year how crazy expensive Phillies playoff tickets can be. If you thought they were expensive last year, any scenario that involves Ohtani and the Dodgers coming to the bank, they're going to be astronomically too high. So be aware of that now. That'll be the downside of this, but I think it's cool. I think it, again, the Ohtani, the sweepstakes, I think made the league fun. He's a total full-blown superstar. He makes the sport amazing. And, then the last piece of this puzzle will be getting Mike Trout out of Anaheim and potentially bringing him back to where he belongs in the city of brotherly love.
Yeah, I think, you bring up a good point there with the MLB media. And the one thing I wanted to say is, like, if we have not learned anything, the biggest thing we learned throughout this entire process is in the MLB media, we can only trust Jeff Passan, because everybody yells at him, why do you wait so long? Why do you wait so long? He's waiting so long, so he's actually putting out the right information. And everybody knew it too. You saw all over social media, Twitter, just reports on ESPN, Fox, all this kind of stuff. And it's every other team.
Shams got in the mix.
Yeah,
Shams is breaking the
Woj was in there. Schefter's in there tweeting it. Like, everybody wanted to be the first to tweet out that big news. And then, like, I understand it's such a crazy thing, but let's be right first. Other than that, but unbelievable signing. I mean, this is just crazy. Now you got the comparisons of other athletes in their sports. Like, I saw this thing, I think it was Front Office Sports, comparing LeBron James' career earnings through 2025 at like $530 million. And then they're like, this is Shohei's 10-year, $700 million deal, so you won't even be there. And now I guess people just got to put their kids in a baseball uniform and go get that baseball back. I mean, is that what it's got to come down to?
I think it just shows, one, just how insane contracts have gotten across all sports that I think I'm just numb to it now. Like, when the news broke, I feel like no part of my brain went, wait, he got how much for how much? It was like, oh, like $1 billion over the course of 20 years for $1 zillion. Whatever. And I feel like my brain is just broken because of some of the contracts that have been dished out nowadays. Like, I don't even know how to process it. It is just infinite money. That's an infinite money glitch. I feel like the first big contract I saw, like, I remember when A-Rod got that deal with the Rangers. I think it was for like $250 million, and that was the first time I was like, wait, that was the first like huge contract that I think I could conceptualize. And nowadays, like, Shohei gets $700 million, and I'm like, obviously.
He's touching Saudi money.
That's really insane. That's
well,
insane.
And then also, real quick, but right before we move on, you just brought up, this is what made me think of this. What did you think of Jon Rahm and the switch over to Live?
I gotta be honest, I haven't like I feel like with everything going on, like we're in such football mode right now. Like I haven't really dialed into the story all that much, other than that he got the bag. The PGA is in a really weird spot.
Yeah.
I think the good news is, like, at the end of the day, the outcome of this is probably an overall like better product. If we have to get a little like WWE-ish and have some factions here to drum up the storylines and, you know, give us some drama, I'm all for that, as long as there's a plan. It doesn't seem like there's a plan right now, and the PGA looks like they got their pants down, and it's going to be another interesting year in the world of golf. But I gotta get a little more tapped in. I gotta hit my guys at Tour Junkies up, because I know that they've been all over this. It's just, hey man, everyone's got their price. Rahm was one of the first people to come out and say, you know what, like, money's money, but I don't do it for the money. I do it for love of the game and this and this. And, well,
it kind of backfired on you, pal.
You know, it's hey, look,
money come to your door.
Like, money can't buy happiness. But you know what, Ken? A shitload of money, a dump truck full of money, that can probably buy happiness.
Where you don't really even have to, like, you don't really have to. You don't have to really compete for it at all. No. You don't have to win that money, because you already got it. That's one of those things, like, I'd rather compete for it. I don't do it for the money. Well, you literally that's why a lot of people are all up in arms about it. I know for a lot of people, you know, people that I just talked to, they just say, I wish they would just come out and say, I'm doing it for the money. He did essentially
I don't think
say
they
something
need,
like that.
but obviously.
Yeah. Actions are loud,
They're
brother.
so mad.
No.
Like, these people get so mad that you go to live because, you know, I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for my family. And they're just like, why do you not just say you're doing it for the money? I don't give a shit about that. You're telling me if they're offering me $600 million to go play golf right now for them, instead of play every week to try to get a $12 million purse, I'm going to heartbeat. I'll get on the plane right now. So I don't understand why we hate it.
You're saying you're not these people that are going to put on the headline, I do it for the money every time.
I will tell you right now, I'm doing it for the money. I am doing it for the cash. Okay? I want the money.
I think here's one thing that I think, like, a lot of people are just, myself included, like, just very confused about. Didn't they announce this big merger like 6 months ago? I thought the whole point of that was to prevent, like, something like this happening. Like, so
well, they needed to get a deal done, like, in negotiations by the end of December, and it doesn't look like that's going to end up happening. So now they got to get into further conversations. But it's right now they're at a stall. They're at like a stall point, a stalemate, if you even want to go that far. They're not getting any further in this merger talks like it was supposed to be. So I guess we wait till later in 2024 to see if this actually happens. But for now, we're obviously seeing it. They're going to keep poaching as many guys as they can until this quote unquote merger even happens, if it does.
Hey man, good for them. I would do it in a heartbeat. If it's about yes. If they came and offered me $1 billion, give me a golf club. You don't even have to give me a caddy. I'll walk.
I'll carry my own bag.
I'll carry my own bag. Just pay me the money. I will do it for the money. I will. Yes.
Yeah.
No question.
I'll confidently say that. All right. Enough wasting time here from stalling, getting to away from the main topic of conversation at hand.
Yeah.
That's the Philadelphia Eagles now losing back-to-back games. A huge spot for the Dallas Cowboys in this moment. 33-13. We talked about it last week. The Cowboys were home for 3 weeks, and they had extra rest to prepare for this Eagles team that was banged up and got their asses handed to by the 49ers the week prior. Everyone talking about they're going to be hungry. They're going to be hungry. This is a better spot and almost a perfect, pristine condition game for the Cowboys, being at home this long, not having to travel, and extra rest to get ready for this Eagles team. And we saw it pretty early on. The Eagles defense could not stop the Cowboys offense at all. We're just walking down the field. And another day, we all knew it was going to be CeeDee Lamb. We all knew it was going to be A.J. Brown. I did bet on both of those guys. I needed A.J. to get in the end zone. What are your initial thoughts here? As a fan perspective of a diehard Eagles fan, what are your biggest takeaways from this 20-point loss on Sunday Night Football last night?
The team stinks. This team stinks. Dude, it was ugly, man. I guess when your three best players all fumble the football, that's not usually a recipe for success. So I don't even know where to begin. Like, the entire game all around was gross, but it just back-to-back games where this offense has looked just downright horrific compared to what we were working with last year. And my God, I really think we took Shane Steichen for granted, because this was a different looking team. Look, the Cowboys defense is okay. Like, Geno Smith looked like Tom Brady against them last week. Geno Smith lit them up, and because they had DK and man coverage, they were throwing. They went vertical. You can go vertical on this Cowboys defense, and we just refused to do it. We get so locked into trying to establish the run. We have this gross screen concept. We don't throw the ball downfield, and Jalen Hurts just the arm strength doesn't look like where it was when he was throwing those peak deep balls last year. He's antsy in the pocket. It just looks sloppy. I mean, we were pummeling teams last year, and this is a game that it's a race to 35. Neither defense is going to. This is not going to be a defensive matchup. And right now, man, we don't have the firepower on offense to be able to run it up with these teams. It sucks. I think a lot of Eagles fans, I didn't see a lot of confidence coming into this game. I think people were hyped up. It's Dallas week. We just got our ass kicked last week, but I think a lot of fans saw this coming. Again, it's a perfect recipe for the Cowboys. It was another good letdown spot for us, but we don't look like an offense that can hang with these teams right now. And I don't know what has to change, but it's just the scheme is just puke worthy to watch. And you factor in a bunch of fumbles and turnovers, and it's not a game that you're going to win.
No, I agree. And going into the season, you already say okay, we're going to split up with the Cowboys. Yeah, but you just don't want to lose by this just looks horrible. And I agree with you about how the offense looks this year, but I mean, your three best players fumble in big positions too, close to a drop pass in the end zone by Schmitty. There were opportunities there to be able to capitalize on certain things. I kind of want to you made a great point about Shane Steichen, because I think the main thing, guys just don't look comfortable with this offense. There's no comfort. There was a rhythm last year with Shane Steichen, and I think, I don't know if there's a change of just terminology or checks with Brian Johnson, just how he approaches the offense, because 1 week is this run-heavy thing, 1 week is a pass-heavy thing, that no one looks comfortable at all. There's no rhythm, and that later on in the season with these games with these big-time teams just coming to show time and time again. And we talked about it. This middle of the defense is just Swiss cheese. We get Shaq Leonard, and I don't think there's much. He can't fix the whole middle of the defense himself. I mean, you have a concept where you want to take away the edges of the field, and if you want to play a defense like that, it puts a lot of pressure on the guys in the middle. If you don't have the right personnel in the middle of the field, I know Reed Blankenship gets hurt, but it didn't look much better with him in the game. And just these reoccurring themes from week 1, 2, 3 versus teams like the Patriots, and then when we were all right, we're looking bad versus bad teams at the start of the season. These are kind of the signs are just blowing up in our face later in the season. It's disappointing to see as an Eagles fan. I'm deeply concerned, because when this shit gets tightened up in the playoffs and teams get the book on us and they have all this film on us when it comes to those big games, and now we don't have home field, or we're going to have to hope for some things to get home field, I'm worried, fellas.
Well, you moved to the 5 seed after the loss yesterday, which would put them on a plane to the Sunshine State in Florida against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where Baker is trying to continue winning that division so they get a home game.
That won't be okay.
But I still think that's a game they can win. Some of the things that my biggest takeaways, I had live bets on the Eagles yesterday, so I was cheering for them.
Cheese on that too.
And a lot of great value on that. But 4th and 9, this is what I want to get your opinion on here too, Kenny.
Fuck yeah.
4th and 9, I think we take our points there. I don't understand. And then if you're going to go for it, why are you throwing a 2-yard pass underneath? And Stephon Gilmore is all over Devontae Smith. Yeah. I just throw it for the first down yardage then. Get those 9 yards. If you're going to do that, then, I don't understand. Nick Sirianni, I feel like, in my personal opinion, as obviously not being an Eagles fan, he's so egotistical with these goddamn fourth down play calls. I don't even think, as aggressive as Doug Peterson was and still is now down in Jacksonville, I don't think that Doug Peterson's going for that 4th and 9. Get the fuck out of here. We got to take our points.
Yeah,
I disagree. I have full trust in Nick Sirianni. So if it just comes down to it, I'm okay with the call. I agree with that. I think the play call sucked. The throw sucked. Maybe if he hits him in stride, he still probably gives him the chance to get it. It's just that's just a factor of everything else we're talking about. Just the whole offensive scheme is terrible, and I feel a lot better about going for this when the offense has the rhythm that we talked about, and it's just been humming and can just rattle off these chunk plays at will like they had last year, and we've had it parts of this year, but we just haven't had it the last couple of games. So again, I don't mind going for it. The play call was bad, the execution of it was worse, and that's just how you can summarize really the entire game here. It was just ugly all around.
Yeah, I just don't like the play call. And another thing too that doesn't really get talked about, we're in a 4th and 9 because our third and manageables and our second and manageables that game were terrible. We were in a lot of second, third, 16, 17s, and just something that we misvalued from Steichen last year. Brian Johnson knows how crazy the tush push is and gets us in position for that. But I feel like you could just tell the play calls on second and third down were like, listen, yo, we're really just trying to get the 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 for overall. And like it's cheese, but Steichen was really good at that, man. And I do kind of miss it myself.
Well, you look towards the schedule for the Eagles the rest of the way. It's in Seattle and definitely going to be a tough NFC matchup there.
Cooler, bro.
And then
that's a. I feel like when people looked at the Eagles schedule coming into the year, and we knew that we had this gauntlet of the middle chunk of our schedule, I feel like a lot of people stopped at this Cowboys game, and you forget that we have to go into Seattle, who is still fighting for playoff life. In Seattle is a tough environment, and they smell blood in the water. I guarantee you, if you're the Seattle Seahawks, you were going into that game confident that crowd is going to be fired up.
Yep.
That is not an ideal get right spot for the Birds after 2 ass whoopings.
And like they need to get that game because to help them out even more, at least for the schedule, is then you have Arizona and the Giants twice. I understand that you could say everything you want in the world about a divisional matchup, but that's even coming from a personal Giants fan. There ain't no way this team is going to beat them in both of those games. They may have a shot. They may have put up a good fight.
You are on drugs. You are on. I don't care what happens. I generally don't care what happens in Seattle because we are going to mollywop the Giants twice and the Cardinals. Make no mistake, dude. I think my Eagles stink and they have a lot. They have a lot to figure out right now. But it is ludicrous to think that in any universe that the Giants win either of those games against the Eagles. There is absolutely no shot.
We need a little bit of help, right, from the Ravens for home field. They got to beat the Niners in that matchup.
I believe you're right.
Win out and get a little help. So fuck me, man.
Yeah, there's a huge stretch for what the Eagles look the rest of the way. And look, we talk about, last thing I want to touch on here is we talk about like what MVP standings and odds kind of look like. Dak Prescott definitely getting a jump there. Maybe Hurts getting a little bit of a knockdown there.
Good for Dak.
One of the things that really like irks me, I know we had our big conversation with Tyreek Hill last week. Like, and I don't mean this disrespectfully towards Brock Purdy, but in my opinion, if fucking Brock Purdy gets MVP, the league's fucked. The league's fucked. The league is fucked. I mean, honestly. It's got to be, you could put Lamar Jackson up there. You said that. Tyreek Hill, how are we not talking about that? Dak, I mean, still Hurts is there. No disrespect, but the league is
the good news is I don't think you're gonna have to worry about that. He's not going. There's no shot. I know the odds say that he is,
which is ridiculous.
There is no shot.
It's ridiculous that he's a favorite. They better not give it to him. Having a great year, understandably so.
Good for Dak. Yeah,
but
good year.
Come on.
Unless Dak has a surprise press conference tomorrow morning and retires from the NFL, there is no shot Brock Purdy will win this award. I wouldn't worry about it because I agree with you. I think it's insane that he's even that high in the conversation. I get that they're rolling the stats. The stats are good, but it's a lot of yards after the catch. And maybe it's easy to put up some stats when you've got like 3 superstars surrounding you on offense. Like it's and again, you can make the same case for Hurts. I mean,
you're right.
Eagles offense is a wagon, but this is Dak's to lose, man. Dak is running away with this.
Yeah, we need another standout performance tonight from the Miami Dolphins with Tyreek Hill. All right, moving on here real quick. Going to briefly touch on this Bills and Chiefs game. We get like what everybody calls, the new greatest matchup in AFC, the Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady, and we back here again with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen, the Bills get a very close win in Kansas City, games in Kansas City that Josh Allen knows how to lose in these types of games, and they walk away with a good win. We see the controversy at the end of the game. Offsides. Patrick Mahomes, the first thing he's saying to Josh Allen when they're shaking hands is that is the worst fucking call I've ever seen. I mean, I understand that's like where you're coming from. You may be upset, but the first thing that we're going to say to the guy that just beat me is, dude, like basically saying,
by the way, balled
out. And you're basically saying, we win that game if that doesn't happen. And then he's in the press conference talking about that's going to be a very hurtful play for Travis Kelce's career because his career has been so fantastic, and a play like that with the lateral to find a way to get him in the end zone. It was a very nasty play. But like, just give me your thoughts here, not only the game, but what you thought here. He was clearly offsides. And I saw, pardon my take, talking about this. Big Cat was talking about this. And he said, look, if you want to bitch about a minimal call like that, you don't call those in those moments, in those games. Well, hold on a second. Didn't you win the Super Bowl on a call like that?
Minimal.
Yes. So
let's talk minimal.
If you're going to go like that, if you're going to say that, Patrick Mahomes, let's just not forget about what happened in the Super Bowl with James Bradbury and Juju Smith-Schuster. But yeah, give me your thoughts on what happened there, Kenny.
Boo fucking who? Dude. Like, cry me a river. He's in for a rude awakening. I mean, very, very quickly, the entire internet was in unanimous agreement that like, hey, you're coming off like a bit of a whiny baby.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess if you want to big brain it, maybe you could say that Patrick Mahomes is actually, he's just such a good teammate, because today the conversation is about how much of a crybaby Patrick Mahomes is, and not how fucking dumb Kadarius Toney is for like cartoonishly stepping 3 feet in front of the line of scrimmage. I mean, like he wasn't even close. Like he wasn't even close. He's blocking the ball. And again, I know you don't call that in that spot, but again, you usually see it on the TV that the receiver sort of looks, gives like a thumbs up, and like, so you don't see if he does that, because I think the official at the bottom of the screen calls it. It doesn't look like he ever looks at him. Like, it's the right call. Like, sorry it happened. By the way, the rest of your game was boring. 2017 between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, like that's what your teams are this year. Your offenses used to be these juggernauts that could just produce 40 points at will, and just look how far these offenses have fallen just in the in the last year. I don't know. Not a lot of firepower here, but Mahomes just comes off just so unbelievably unlikable. And the fact that that's the first thing he says to Josh Allen too, it's just he comes off just like such a douchebag.
Yeah.
Like such a douchebag.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like guys at this level feel like they have at least enough self-awareness to sort of avoid stuff like this. And the first thing I thought was, did he just not see it? You know, like I feel like if he got the same look that we all got, would he be as perplexed? Because he seems to believe this was like the most egregious call in NFL history, while everyone else is just like
what,
kind of giggling because it was like just in your face, weird but correct call.
No, I agree. It's funny. I was getting people. So when the Eagles played the Chiefs, I was listening to the radio and people were calling in and they're saying like, I'm starting to just hate Pat Mahomes. And that narrative was kind of building. And this is not, I mean, that looked bad. He's on the, like literally on the sideline. His whole team is trying to hold him back. It's like, bro, come on.
He
Like
smashed the helmet on the ground.
Bro, come on. But it's really on Kadarius Toney, because first of all, you can see, like, at least from the view that we saw, he doesn't look at the referee at all. And usually, I'll say usually, because I play wide receiver for a long time, there's usually a back and forth between the ref and the wide receiver the entire game. And like to think that kind of the person, how Kadarius Toney carried himself in that moment, I'm pretty sure there probably was a moment in the first, second, or third quarter where he was either on the line, didn't really give a good check or something like that. And the ref was probably like, hey, KT, like, make sure you check with me or something. So when you do it and a minute left in a play like that, like there's going to be no warning. Like, come on, brother. I understand. If I'm a Chiefs fan, I would be saying at least give us a warning. But in that moment, there ain't no warnings. And I just want to give a shout out to Josh Allen, because besides the pick that he had that led to a score, he was hooping. I mean, there were some plays he made this game. Like I've been critical of Josh Allen, at least coming into this year too, ranking him and Jalen Hurts together. But there was a couple plays I wonder he was backing up to the sideline on the third down, throwing it. The run he had to score, like he got hit at like the 5 or 6, and he's just carrying bodies in. So shout out to Josh Allen, big W from him in this little, like you said, they say Pat and Josh is like Tom and Peyton Manning. So this matchup, big W for him. So shout out to Josh Allen as well.
I do want to go ahead, Kenny.
And I think, like, after this play happened, right? Mahomes, forget whatever you think the right call, Like, it's 2nd and 15 at the 50. Like, this game is not over. You are down 3. There's a minute 12 left. It's 2nd and 15 at your own 46-yard line, and you need 3 points.
And you're Pat Mahomes.
And by the way, you're at home and you're Patrick Mahomes. Like, you need 15 yards to get a field goal and send us to overtime. And it's just you don't get it done, incomplete, and then you have the bomb to Kelsey that doesn't work, and game over. And then you immediately throw this hissy fit and are bitching to Josh Allen, like, dude, like go get 15 yards, go to overtime, and complain about this later. It's just the whole picture here is just really ugly. And again, I think the biggest winner in all this is Kadarius Toney, because a lot less people are really focusing on that mistake, which inevitably cost them the game. And instead, it's, man, this Mahomes guy sure stinks.
Well, I want to take you to that side of the hissy fit. Like, if you're going to throw that hissy fit on the sideline about what's going on, you're throwing your helmet, you're screaming. CBS, like, in the coverage of the game, they zoom in really close. You got Tony Romo, sorry ass, just talking like, it's the emotions of the game. It's the emotions of the game. They always get you. They always get you. And I'm like, look, if you're going to...
Hey, you're wrong, but I mean...
But, like, if you're going to get that mad and you're going to throw that hissy fit, then go say something to Kadarius Toney in that moment. If you're going to throw it all, you're yelling at the refs and you're saying, that's fucking terrible. You suck. That's fucking horrible. You can read his lips in the moment. Then go say something to Kadarius Toney, because honestly, you can't, as much as you want to yell at them, he was the one that did it. He was the one that was offsides with his foot. So your spectacular play, Travis Kelce's spectacular play, doesn't come down to a bad call. Comes down to your player.
Like, what was he thinking? That's a crazy play. But like in that moment, like how did he even like think to even pull that off?
You didn't even need to do that. It's not like there was time expiring. You know, they play the lateral game, the hook and ladder bullshit. Like that just
like I think the way that Mahomes and sort of everybody's reacted to this, like you would have thought that they were down, like they were down at least 3 points. Like they needed a touchdown. It's the last play of the game. It's this magnificent heroic play that then gets wiped off. Like I get it. It was a cool play. It was a weird lateral, and like that it would have put the Chiefs up with a minute 15 to play. Like it wasn't this game break, like this, this historical, holy shit, life-changing play that I think they've made it out.
The miracle Arrowhead.
the miracle. The miracle. This, like, it was a pretty cool play in an otherwise boring game. And then when it got taken off the board, like the game is still on. There's still a minute 15 left, and you need like 12 yards to give Bucker a shot. So, man, I don't know, just a fart of a game all around.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to touch on with that game is just from an offensive standpoint on the Bills. I mean, was not expecting James Cook to lead on all offensive stats in that game. And I have Diggs in multiple fantasy leagues.
Oh, man.
And, I mean, you got 4 catches for like 25 yards or 24 yards on 11 targets. I mean, I still don't think that and Josh Allen missed Gabe Davis in a wide open touchdown. They ended up throwing to Dalton Kincaid that was out of bounds, incomplete. I still don't think the Bills have really established how they're going to run this offense and who it's going to be run through. Because each game, sometimes it's Diggs, and if it's not, maybe it's a little bit more of Gabe Davis than Diggs. And then now it's like, oh, is it James Cook? Who's your guy? Who can we trust every time? Obviously, you have Josh Allen, but he can't do it all, man. Like, so we got to pick who is going to be our guy if we want to be clutch in big-time moments in the playoffs this year. All right. Now moving to what you wanted to talk about. I really am just eager to hear what you want to touch on this game. Kenny's big third game of the week is the Bengals hosting the Colts. And
you got to talk about this one. It gives us an excuse to, I think, just lightly touch on the kind of the AFC picture as a whole here. Man.
You're right.
But I gotta right the ship here. I declared on this show, I declared that the Bengals were dead, I think 2 weeks ago. So I just come to face the music. I was very wrong. The Bengals were not dead. Just, dude, 2 really interesting, fun wins in a row. I think we learned a lot the last couple of weeks. Number one, like, are the Jags frauds? Are the Jags on fraud alert? Like this vaunted Jags defense has just gotten absolutely pummeled by Jake Browning and Joe Flacco in back-to-back weeks. The Jags might be frauds. We'll talk about them in a bit. Bengals back-to-back wins. They destroyed Indianapolis yesterday. I know we talked about Shane Steichen, and I miss his brain and his scheme with this Eagles and what he's done with this Colts team this year, and the fact that they're in a position to be 7-6 with Gardner Minshew at the helm, all the Jonathan Taylor craziness. He deserves a lot of credit, but like their luck was due to run out, and I think they finally hit a bit of a buzzsaw this week. Cincinnati, man, like give credit to Zach Taylor. They completely have found a way to, you can't replicate Joe Burrow, and Jake Browning is not Joe Burrow, but they have found a way to make it work. Now, you've got a lot of playmakers on this offense. They're figuring out just to give them the ball in space and let them make plays. And last week it was Jamar Chase, I think, had like 14 catches. They were just feeding him, the entire game. And then this week you see a little more of the Chase Brown experiment. Now, I needed him when they broke the red zone cut to him, I think, for that 55-yard touchdown he had early in the game.
Yep.
The only bomb play that had any life yesterday was Chase Brown to lead the game in rushing yards. I thought maybe they were a big feature. So when they cut to it, he's marching down the sideline. I'm like, dude, please tell me this is like an inside handoff or something. It was like a little screen pass they designed. So I ended up not being able to make too much money on the Chase Brown experiment.
You've been on him because you were on him last week too. What's it's like, sorry to cut you off there, but what's kind of like what you've been seeing from him? I know you said you were going to live bet him last week in the Jags game. What are you liking out of him?
It's just I think they took him in the 4th round. I forget, but he dude is just absolutely lightning fast. Ran a really, really quick 40 time, and he went on IR early in the season and just hasn't really got his legs. He was slated to be the number 2 back behind Mixon. It's been Travion Williams for the most part here, but prior to the Jacksonville game, it was the first time he was coming in completely healthy, wasn't on the injury report, and had a lot of hype coming into the preseason. So it just felt like it's time to get him some work. They'd really been like Mixon had been getting a lot of touches, in recent weeks, and it's just at this part in the season, regardless of where you are as a team, like you got to have like another guy that can sort of absorb some of that work. And it just seemed like a good spot for him. And good on him that he's showing out. I mean, that's back-to-back games that he has been a legitimate difference maker for this offense. So, I think throughout the rest of the season, it's sort of fun to try to find. Like there's a few other Chase Browns on other teams in similar situations around the league. That's just it's kind of their turn, if you will. It's that part of the season. So from the gambling aspect, that part can be pretty fun. But the Bengals, man, credit where it's due. They could have rolled over and died when Burrow went down. They've won 2 straight, and it leaves you with a really interesting AFC playoff picture down the stretch.
Sure.
You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 6 teams right now that are sitting at 7-6. Steelers, Colts, Texans, Broncos, Bengals, Bills. That's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun.
There's some vulnerable teams there. Some CJ Stroud news we got to wait for. Looks like a goddamn like a MLB wild card race. But one thing too, shout out to the Bengals defense rallying around Jake Browning, and then shout out to the Bengals. I mean, the value in having a backup quarterback can get you some games. Like,
damn straight.
You need to have one. Like, you never know when it's going to come into those situations, and he's just playing good ball. We remember earlier in the season we were talking about we were like, I mean, not really criticizing Joe Mixon. We were just like, where's Joe Mixon? I think it was like the first 2 games. This game was the Joe Mixon. Like, Joe Mixon was him.
And last week, too, getting in the end zone twice. Should have been 3 times as well.
100%. So when it's time, when Joe Burrow goes down, it's time to step up. Like, you've seen the guys, Joe Mixon, that defense step up, which is big for the Bengals. And honestly, out of all those, there's a lot of those teams in the mix. Talk about, like, complete teams, not just the quarterback position. They're one of the better complete teams in that mix. It could get spooky, man. They might find a way in there.
Like having a quarterback that you have to give credit to Jake Browning and what he's done, but it also shows in the ability to adapt. Like the changes that Zach Taylor has made, you have to give credit. Like he has taken what he can work with Jake Browning. It's a much less complex scheme. They're not throwing as vertical, but they're getting the ball in their playmakers' hands. They're getting Jake Browning into a rhythm. And you know what, man? Some of that offensive adaptability I wouldn't mind seeing in Philadelphia. Like instead of just committing to this brain dead scheme that we continue to trot out there, like you have to try different things. And again, it's just right now it's cool to see what's happening in Cincinnati. Again, my brother and his family just moved to Cincinnati, so I made the joke when Burrow went down, like, dude, it's your first year there, and you're not even going to get to enjoy a playoff run. I don't know, man. I might be marching out to Cincinnati for some playoff games.
Hell yeah, baby. I also want to give some, on the Burrow topic, I want to give him a shout out for what he did for Browning and his family with the suite. It was cold. It was kind of a rainy, miserable day. And for Jake to say at the press conference, they're from California, so they're not used to this weather. So for him to kind of stick his neck out there for us and get them in the warmth and all that was a really a veteran move. And we've noticed also in there's been some comparisons, right, with Deshaun Watson and his injury and Joe Burrow. And they're showing a lot of these of the leadership that Burrow has because he's on the field, he's in his sling, he's got the headset on, he's working with Jake, he's giving him some pointers, that kind of stuff. And then they pan to Deshaun Watson, who's up in the box in the booth, maybe sipping on a little, and he's just hanging out. So they're everyone's ready, like quick to hate on Deshaun. But real quick, I want to just get your thoughts.
Very different than too. It's like you've got young ass Jake Browning and you've got 85-year-old grown ass man Joe Flacco.
I don't think he's gonna. Yeah, he's not gonna tell him much.
I don't think he's that much. Dude, the whole Flacco conversation is just like I'm glad I could go on and on about that game just because I can't believe that's the NFL this year. You're telling me I'm gonna have to watch Joe Flacco playoffs, but I think Air Flacco is back, baby. I mean, he just eviscerated the Jacksonville defense. I can't believe what I'm watching.
I saw this from NFL on CBS too. Flacco had 311-3 yesterday, and there's a list of teams that don't have a 300 passing yard, 3 touchdown game from their quarterback this season. Those are the Jets, the Steelers, the Jags, the Colts, the Titans, Raiders, Giants, Packers, Bucks, Falcons, Saints, Panthers, Rams, and Cardinals. Joe Flacco was on his goddamn couch a couple weeks ago, and he's coming out here doing this. It's just fun to say. It's fun to watch. It's fun to see. And Manny said it. His quote last week. He's like, for the midlife crisis people,
you got your hero.
You got your guy, in case you forgot it. All right, so that's all we got for you, Kenny, in week number 14. We'll see you in week 15. Keep up the fits that you got. We had the DraftKings shirt, we had the headphones, we got the jerseys. Like get some more special stuff for next week, and definitely root for my boys in their legacy jerseys tonight against Jordan Love and the Packers.
Have fun tonight. Be good, boys. Always a pleasure.
Oh yeah, baby. Talk to you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO and founder of The Moonshot, our Monday guy, Kenny McAndrews. Another solid week from the boy. We're going to keep things rolling here. And our closing thoughts, like we've been doing the last couple weeks. This is now week 3 of doing that. So hopefully you guys are enjoying that. If you are watching this podcast and this episode on YouTube, make sure to drop a like, comment, and do not forget to hit that subscribe button. And our Apple Podcast and Spotify listeners, we appreciate your loyalty and your love. Just scroll to the bottom. Give us those ratings. They do help us a lot. Okay, some games that I personally would like to touch on because there's some stats behind it. Was the we did just touch on Flacco. It's more on just a Kenny Pickett stat that I really wanted to read from NFL on CBS, and it just is like, if you're Kenny in this situation, I know where you stand on this because you said it, but if you look at it, this is from NFL Rookie Watch on Twitter. Joe Flacco had a 300+ yard passing game as an AFC North quarterback. He has one. Kenny Pickett has one with 300 passing yards. Joe Flacco has a 3 passing touchdown game as an AFC North quarterback. He has one. Kenny Pickett has 0. He does not have a game with 3 touchdowns. And what's ironic about it is when you see the end of the tweet, Pickett has been the Steelers' starting quarterback since early last season. And Flacco has just played only 2 games as an AFC North quarterback. So yes, since I have been a Kenny Pickett, I guess, not hater, but...
Oh, no, you're a Kenny Pickett.
Well, it all started from his Pitt time and not playing in the bowl game. That's where it all started from. So now I've just found some ways to keep the digs going. But Manny he's on the different side of it because he's like, just give him some more time. Just give him some more time. Also on the Cowboys thought, I know we had already touched on the game, but like touching on Brandon Aubrey, I mean, we had a 59-yarder, we had a 60-yarder, or was it 58-yarder? Dude's lights out, 28 for 28 since he's been the kicker for the Cowboys.
Too. That shit's annoying. They stay with a good kicker.
Like, I mean, Brett Maher was not that great, but
he was getting the job done.
Hey, that's what I mean.
I just feel like
this guy's just incredible.
Like, I feel like they just stay with a kicker. Who was the kicker they had? Like when Zeke and them were rookies.
Oh my god, dude!
You know what I'm talking about? Who didn't miss? Like, there was like 2 years where he was not missing.
God, that's gonna bug the shit out of me.
Fuck it, but like, I just remember they had him, and then they lost him, and then I think wasn't Maher they brought in after that?
I think so.
And then he was cool, but then like it was like he wasn't good enough. Then you bring in Aubrey, it's like, god damn, they stay with a kicker. Like, what the fuck?
I really want to find that out now. Dan Bailey, bro.
Dan Bailey.
I remember that name.
Dan Bailey was a problem.
That's so funny.
Dan Bailey was really one of them ones.
God.
Like, if it wasn't for Justin Tucker during them years, Dan Bailey would have been the one.
Yep. All right, let's touch on how the Lions just
I was gonna say
suck within their division. And I want to read this. I'm all on my statistics here today from Twitter, so I'm going to go back to that and read this, and I want to get your thoughts on this too. And again, NFL on CBS this weekend, that was tweeted last night or earlier this morning. Justin Fields this season has a higher passer rating than Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. He's a higher passing touchdowns to interception ratio 2.2 than Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, and he has more rushing yards per game, which is 50.9, than Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. The problem is not on Justin Fields. Like, everybody had the blames early on in the season. Remember, we had those talks, and it was like, would you put him in a different system, or is he the problem? And now we can confidently say he's not the problem. It's just how you play for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, they try to sneak in Trevor Lawrence in that tweet. I mean, not Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow in that tweet. That's kind of crazy. Like, I mean, Joe Burrow had played the whole year hurt. But shout out to Justin Fields, though. Definitely hooping this game, and him and DJ Moore find that connection. Are the Lions frauds?
I know.
I mean, second half, we're playing for home field. We're playing the Bears. I understand it's at Soldier Field. It's the divisional game, but we're seeing down the stretch here. I think the alarms are setting off for me in Motown. I mean, we got to go play the Broncos.
The Vikings twice. And
got to get us 2 dubs. The Broncos and the Dallas game, we going to see the fight of this Lions team. Do we have fight? Are we really who we thought we were? Or we just, I mean, I had no problem with them being a little fun NFC team, but there were hopes they could get home field. We had that episode about, are they going to be over the Eagles? I think there were some people saying they could. I don't know, but Lions, we got to get that shit.
That's going to be Saturday. That Cowboys game in Dallas. That's
on Christmas?
That's the Saturday the 30th, so it's a week after Christmas. It's the day before New Year's Eve. It's a Saturday night game on ABC.
Oh, all right.
at
So
8:30.
we get to see prime time. Of course, it's in fucking Jerry's world.
Of course, bro. Of course. It's just like Thanksgiving.
They doing
game.
some weird. They get 10 days off in the game to us versus in Jerry's world. They get to play them in Jerry's.
Think
world.
about this shit, bro. For the Lions, they get prime time next week. This is the Thursday night game. This week, I should say, against the Broncos at home.
That's gonna be tough.
That's going to be actually. You know what?
That's gonna be tough.
At the beginning of the year, I think
You look at that game and you throw the fuck up.
you're like, what the hell?
This is what
And
I
now,
get for
like,
week 15.
wait a minute. Sean Payton has turned this team around. Russell Wilson's turned this team around. The Broncos look like possible playoff contenders. Don't really want to go fucking around with that team. And then you look at the Lions and you're like, wait a minute.
Wait, what number loss is this for the Lions?
They're now 9-4. That was their fourth loss.
How many?
wait, what are you saying? Go ahead.
How many losses do the Packers have?
The Packers, I
Have
think
6, right?
yeah, and they're playing tonight against the Giants.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. But if we don't beat the Broncos,
Hey, we're in trouble.
I don't think they're gonna beat the
Detroit.
I don't think they're gonna beat the Cowboys because Cowboys still gonna be playing for home field.
Detroit.
That's 6 losses.
Yep.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Couple more things I want to touch briefly on. I want to go on this one first before I skip over it. I feel so bad for anybody that paid for a ticket to go see the Raiders in Vegas play a Josh Dobbs now, Justin Jefferson-less now Vikings team. 3-0. Waste of money. Thoughts and prayers to you guys who wasted your money to go see that. Sorry about that. That's all I got on that game. Just boring. Justin Jefferson gets hurt in his return that was so highly anticipated. Very sad to see. He'll be fine. And Dobbs goes out. Really, what I wanted to touch on is obviously that Ravens game, which we'll get to. But let's shine some light on Mr. Zach Wilson. Hey, there's some good things that have come to you in when you have stepped up in these moments. You've had some bad things for basically like the entire year. You get put into a tough situation where you're not supposed to be in there. It's supposed to be Aaron Rodgers. Then the media is trying to come for your throat for no reason. Everyone's talking down on you. It's almost like everyone's rooting against you. And then you get benched for Tim Boyle, of all people. And then you come back in a game where, hey, like at home, kind of would like to have this game against a good Texans team where your defense steps up. CJ Stroud has a disgusting game in a bad way, I'm saying. And Zach Wilson, no interceptions? What are we talking about here? Over 300 yards? That's a good day for you, pal. And I'm happy for you, and I'm happy, that you're beating these allegations of people just trying to shit on you every second that they can.
Well, yeah, I mean, this game was horrible for like
Horrible.
40 minutes. I'm pretty sure it was 0-0 or 3-0 in the third quarter. But then CJ Stroud, people were critical of Quentin Williams for that hit because he did like slam CJ down to the ground.
Yeah.
And we don't know, especially with this AFC race, like his concussion protocol. Is he going to be okay? Is he going to play next week? It's just a fucking ugly game. Thank God Zach Wilson hooped. Breece Hall as well.
And Nico Collins went down. Let's not forget that,
Nico
too.
Collins went down, too.
A week after Tank Dell goes down.
Yeah, like it's looking for the AFC race. Like they're just losing bodies. It's not good for them. Breece Hall got to show out. Garrett Wilson got to show out. I like seeing Zach Wilson hoop and boys moving around well. Already, like the guy could have just benefited very well from just sitting a few years. Imagine if he just popped up on you 3 years later. Like
Just like a Jordan Love type.
I feel like his skill
you know?
set looks much like Jordan Love. And it's like if he could have just sat a couple years, like,
Just sometimes we're put in
beating a dead horse with that. I'm just saying that.
tough situations. Yeah, I know. I mean, we're backers. I was critical of him only for like the comments that he's made when Aaron Rodgers came in. I haven't like been critically intentionally trying to hate on this guy as much as I am with Kenny Pickett. It's not that. Now I want to get into would you call this one? I think I would call this one the funnest game. Most exciting, I think, for me.
That game.
This Ravens.
I like seeing. I mean, that Falcons game was lit too. I like seeing Bakley game winning drives.
And he had that plus. It was plus 3,200. Baker Mayfield first touchdown. I saw that going around on Twitter.
Fuck me.
Yeah. All right. Ravens at home against the Rams. Odell Beckham playing his former team. I'm so stupid. Well, Alex, you are so dumb. Why would you not take him to score playing against his former team? It's just narrative. I'm a narrative better. So why would... Just dumb. Thinking I didn't even think about that until just now that I said it. Just now. Stupid. Should have taken him to score. Stupid. But hey, good win. Let's talk about being able to get a late drive to kick the field goal to tie it up, send us into overtime. Let's not forget about that and only focus about the punt return touchdown. What an athletic play. What a way to end the game. We've now seen that twice this season. We saw it with the Jets over the Bills. A punt return touchdown in overtime to end the game.
You like wake up in a cold sweat when that shit happens and get like flashbacks and shit?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Do you like get flashbacks at all when that shit happens?
What's that?
From the Giants?
Oh, the Giants? No, I didn't actually get a flashback of that. Watching that, it was actually, I got a flashback to Josh Allen losing in overtime again. But it's funny that you say that because, yes, Deshaun Jackson recently retired and what he did to the Giants and the miracle at the Meadowlands. Miracle, oh my God. It was a couple years,
Why'd you punt to him?
Last week, it was 5 years since the Miami Miracle. You remember that?
Wow.
And it's crazy that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And you hear, I think it's Ian Eagle on the call, and he's like, Gronkowski doesn't have the angle, and they're gonna win it. A Miami Miracle. But yeah, really fun game here. Lamar Jackson solidifying he still is a candidate in the MVP race.
He deserves a little more consideration.
Does deserve a lot more consideration at that. I feel like everybody got in the end zone yesterday on this Ravens team, and I didn't think to except for Gus Edwards, who I needed to get in there. But week in and week out. One thing I want to mention on this side of the ball here for the Rams, week in and week out, we keep seeing it's very good to see that the Rams have now found their guy at the running back position. And I've said that before, but it's nice to see that we're not battling with the Cam Akers. We don't know what our future is in that position. And also, Cooper Kupp, thank you for coming back.
Hello.
Showing yourself again. We talked about it last week, and it was stated. Where are those 100 and a touchdown games? 80 and a touchdown games? Where did those go? Well, we got it. We got it today. We got it yesterday. 115 and a touchdown. Great for his fantasy squad at that. But you know what? Ravens, 10-3, and you are looking like the absolute, as Kenny calls it, wagons. Might be the wagon of the AFC right now, and I think they're just getting looked past. Because of the Chiefs, they have all this noise. Because of the Bills, it's Josh Allen. Even though they're nowhere close to the Ravens in this. If I am a Ravens fan, I'm saying we're going to the Super Bowl right now. And I also we were talking about the conspiracy shit, and I do want to mention that. I've been seeing that all over. If you look at the Super Bowl logos with the Roman numerals in there, the colors the past 2 years have been who's in the Super Bowl. So when it was the Rams and the Bengals. Inside the numbers, you can see the colors, and it's yellow and orange, or red, I guess, for the Bengals. Last year, green and red. Chiefs and Eagles. This year, it's red and purple. Standing for who?
Oh, that would make sense.
Ravens and
sense, wouldn't it?
the 49ers.
That might make
Is
sense.
that a little weird?
Are those the two best teams in their respective conferences?
I might be.
I think it is.
I'm certainly not taking the Cowboys over the 49ers after the 49ers stomped on them.
Surely not taking the Cowboys.
And I mean...
Surely not taking...
And it's Ravens without Mark Andrews. They still have a lot of work to do with that. Still fun to see.
Nah, listen, that was a fucking hell of a game.
Hey, man.
Matt Stafford is balling the fuck out. He actually looks like... So what do you consider prime Stafford? Does prime Stafford cut off before LA or no? I think so.
I think so too.
So he's been in this LA, whatever he's been in LA reminds me of LeBron in fucking LA. He goes to LA and he's out of his prime, but he's getting a chip and he's staying in his prime past the chip.
Getting it done.
And when after he got the chip, everyone was trying to say he's done now. He's still spinning that fucking rock. Lamar Jackson make a lot of clutch plays. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp were both hooping. I want to also get a shout out because when Mark Andrews goes down, Isaiah Likely has to step in. And it's how are we going to favor without Mark Andrews now? Isaiah Likely has not been Mark Andrews at all, but scores the first touchdown in this game, and I think he had 80 yards, 90 yards, bunch of big plays from him, and kind of like a Mark Andrews-esque way where he can still where Lamar Jackson can still find his tight end. And then Odell Beckham was fucking insane. I mean, a catch he made in the first quarter, he ran kind of a corner route, and he was looking over his inside shoulder. Lamar goes to the outside shoulder. He makes a catch where you have to turn and locate it again, which I don't think people really realize how hard that catch is. He makes the same catch again on a harder one because the ball was way longer for his touchdown. Odell was just hooping, and I think with Mark Andrews going down, Zay Flowers played well as well, but you get to see those two really get to snap for Lamar, and then obviously Lamar has like 400 yards total on his own. And I think with this whole Mark Andrews injury thing, because people try to say Lamar was getting bailed out by Mark Andrews, we got to talk about Lamar in this MVP race. He might not win it because of the how he started earlier in the year, but we got to talk about Lamar. I mean, he's definitely putting his team on his back right now.
Haven't we been saying all year?
And it's being clutch too.
Haven't we been saying all year long that, and even preseason, that Lamar's going to get weapons? He gets Odell. He gets Zay Flowers, and he still has Mark Andrews there. Obviously, now that's not the case. Finally.
They're clicking.
Clicking is the exact word. And if you look at, now I know we're on the Ravens there, but if you just look at the remaining 4 games for the Rams, being 6-7 now after that tough loss. You go back home for 2 games, back in LA, back to the West Coast, home against the Commanders and home against the Saints. Probably would assume you get 2 there. And then you go to 8-7. You assume. Then you go to MetLife for your second to last game of the season to take on the Giants. And you assume that's another one. So now you're at 9-7. And then your last game of the year is in San Francisco in a divisional matchup against the 49ers.
Be for the playoffs.
And you know what? It'll probably be for the playoffs. And maybe, just maybe, the 49ers will be sitting a lot of guys because they're in a position.
We would have to lose for that to happen.
Right.
Oh, even if we do not, they're going to be trying, because even if we do lose, they're going to be trying, because the Cowboys are still 10-3. So the chances of them running the table, I think for them, especially how the NFC's shaping up, I feel like they want to run the table to feel safe. I don't think they are. I think 3-1 might sneak you in depending on their tie breaks, but Rams fans, that was one, like that was a playoff game right there. Because I mean, the Ravens are still playing for home field respectfully because Miami's still there. Miami's probably going to beat the dog piss out of the Titans tonight.
Yeah.
That was a big loss for the Rams. It's all good though.
Yep. I mean, we move and we get.
Who would have fucking if you would have told me that before this year started that the Rams are going to be playing for the last wild card spot? I mean, I was kind of saying after I watched them play and we saw Puka Nacua do it, we didn't know he was going to be there. But before the season started, I would have been like, hell, if they're 7-6, whatever the fuck they are right now, 6-7, playing for the playoffs, good for them, bro. Good for Stafford hooping out. I don't know. He might have some years left in the tank, man. I don't know.
Last quick thing too is the Chargers are just so fucking dead.
Yeah, Justin Herbert broken finger.
Justin Herbert with the fractured finger. Staley looks like
he needs to get fired.
A dead man walking.
He needs to get fired.
I mean, this is just getting out of hand and out of control really fast for this young start to Justin Herbert's era in Los Angeles for this Chargers team. They just the record does not say what they are.
Nah.
Having 5 wins this year, they should have 2. Like, it is awful. It is a shit show and a trash can that is happening right now in that Chargers locker room with Staley still in attendance. But again, we touched on the Broncos
hooping.
Like, hey, this is a team that's now what, 5 wins in the last 6 games. I mean,
hooping.
Good form.
And you could really tell the Sean Payton like the Sean Payton's just rubbing off on Russell Wilson. There was a play. They were in they're probably like the 10-yard line. They were like a play action pass where it was like a bootleg and Russell Wilson faked the run and passed it for the end zone. I was like, yo, I swear to God, that's the shit they were doing with Drew Brees in New Orleans. Like these play action passes in the red zone where like Drew Brees, he wouldn't fake the boot because we know his dumbass ain't running, but he would do that shit where he would really tuck it, stay low for a second, turn around and find someone wide up in the end zone. Something that Drew Brees wasn't doing in New Orleans with Sean Payton that he loves now is throwing absolute dots week after week, 60-plus yards to Courtland Sutton. This week was probably the best one they had. Them two are eating, bro. So shout out to Sean Payton, shout out to Russell Wilson. Shout out to Courtland Sutton, too, because that's a name that, thank God, is getting more recognition now. Hopefully we can get more Jerry Jeudy going on. I don't think he's a JAG. We gonna have to
just a guy.
I think it's TBD on that. We'll see. But shout out to the Broncos, man. They hooping over there.
We're gonna keep paying a lot of attention to the Broncos down the stretch of this season. Big supporters of this turnaround are from Sean Payton and his quarterback, Russell Wilson. That is all we got for you today in this Week 14 with Kenny McAndrews. If you did watch this episode on YouTube, make sure to drop a like, comment, and do not forget to hit that subscribe button so you're not missing out on any new podcasts and episodes this football season. Apple Podcasts and Spotify, very simple. Scroll to the bottom, give us those ratings. Make it those 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. They do help out the show a lot. And if you want to connect with us on our social media platforms, head over to our Twitter at ADED Podcast, our Instagram at ADEDpod, and our TikTok, which is simply the name of the show. Another fun ride in Week 14. Cannot wait for Week 15. The Giants play tonight, and hopefully it's a victory Tuesday. You've been listening and watching.
I think it might be Giants
show.
spread, though. I don't hate Giants spread.
With all day AJ and Manny Ruffin. Get out your bet slips so the Giants are playing on Monday Night Football.
Packers riding high. Couple wins in a row. Jordan Love looks untouchable. Got to go play the Giants. Is this in the Meadowlands, too? Giants defense been causing some turnovers.
Giants defense is coming. See you next week, people.
That's a lot of points.